Joy, the fact that you're backing
Their
a country
democracy
that
is not like the
slaughters
United States of
homosexuals,
America.
that slaughters people for their religious beliefs.
In the United
them.
States,
it's crazy that you're
people
like,
who are
Iran.
LGBTQ people can't even serve in the military under the president you prefer.
Okay, but
they are. Oh, I'm sorry. They're only a little bit. They're only a little bit discriminated against. Oh, they're allowed to live, but they're not allowed to serve in the United States military. They're being persecuted. They can't have their stories told in school. The United States is not exactly a beacon of human rights.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Second Take channel, where we keep up with CNN so you can avoid it. You clicked on the title, so when it starts getting painful a minute and a half in, just remember you chose this. Let's dive in and tackle it together. On Tuesday night's Newsnight with Abby Phillips, CNN served us the return of someone we've all been waiting for on cable news, Dennis Rodman's reappearance, and Joy Reid's as well. The two conservatives on the panel didn't let a single falsehood from Joy Reid go unchecked. They highlighted her manipulative narratives, exposed her spins, and honestly, it wasn't too difficult, given she was defending Iran and using the LGBTQ community as a rhetorical tool. I feel justified in saying with absolute certainty that she hasn't missed a beat in the absurdity department. So let's watch as the two conservatives on the panel uncover the truth behind Joy Reid's actions, calling her out for her audacious opportunism and tearing apart her almost unbelievably ridiculous arguments. Let's get started.
Assessment, we'll see how much of it proves to be right. It's 7 people inside the DIA who've leaked to CNN. Congratulations, you got your moment in the sun. There'll be more assessments that come after this, and then we'll get a true picture of it. But we do know that there are 3 key sites or piles of rubble today. That is a step forward. It's good for peace. It's good for the United States.
I find it rather extraordinary that we are very casually having a conversation about the tactical success or failure of dropping a 3,000-pound bomb or two on a sovereign country that did not attack us. And we are failing to unpack or even address, as we're discussing whether or not it was effective how we bombed Iran, whether Donald Trump was correct in saying we obliterated their facilities, and not asking, why on earth is the United States bombing a country that did not attack us? What on earth are we doing there at all? And why is it that there is this arrogance in the West and in the United States to say that we get to decide who can have nuclear energy? We get to decide that, and not just decide it, we get to act on it and drop bombs on a country that didn't attack us. We had no business dropping bombs on Iran. And so the question of whether the tactic worked or not, to me, ignores the fundamental moral question at hand. And I think that I'm not alone probably among Americans who are saying that this was something that we had absolutely no right to do.
But Americans recognize that for 46 years, Iran has been at war with us, starting with the hostage crisis. They've killed thousands of Americans. They supported the war against us in Afghanistan. They've built proxies and they've destroyed multiple countries. Iran has declared war on the United States. Death to America was their mantra. The United States has been a nuclear power, obviously, since 1945.
And dropped bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We're the one country that did it. Let me ask you a question.
I want to address your
question. The American people understand that the United States plays an important role in the world. I am thrilled that the United States is trying to police the proliferation of nuclear weapons. Imagine what the world would look like if it was otherwise. And I think that
the United States would still be the only country that has ever bombed another country with nuclear weapons. And let me ask you one question. Why did the Iran hostage crisis take place?
So certainly,
I'm asking you
fundamentalist radicals took over the government. Who hate the West?
Why did they take over the government? Why?
Because they're religious jihadis who want to eliminate Western society.
They hate our way of life. They hate our way of life.
Or they overthrew the Shah of Iran, who we imposed on Iran because the Dulles brothers, one at the CIA and one at the State Department, decided that the oil beneath the soil of Iran belonged to BP and belonged to us. And when Mossadegh, who was the leader of Iran, the democratically elected leader of Iran, said that we would like to audit BP because we want to know if you are cheating us or paying the people of Iran based on the oil under their soil. And they said, you may not audit us. And then we overthrew him and he wound up dying in prison because we decided that we, in our arrogance as a country, country got to own their oil.
that
And wait a
justifies
minute,
the
no,
taking of the
one moment,
hostages?
one moment. And so the hatred of the United States had to do with the hatred of the Shah, who brutally repressed the people of Iran for 26 years
compared to
until
this-
he was overthrown within Iran because he was not their natural king. They didn't want a king any more than we wanted a king. The bottom line is the arrogance of the United States' foreign policy. We act as if people act in a vacuum, and that nothing we do has ever led to the hatred of us in other countries. And I'm not saying that hostages should be taken, but you just said because they hate our freedoms. That's BS.
No, they hate the West.
She has such disdain for this country, doesn't she? Her perspective is utterly appalling. There she is on CNN, portraying Iran as some kind of blameless victim, questioning, why are we bombing a nation that hasn't attacked us? As if Iran hasn't been targeting us through proxies for the past 40 years, killing our troops and chanting death to America like it's their theme song. This sort of moral blindness only thrives in elite media circles where history apparently begins when a Republican acts, erasing all previous context. Iran hasn't attacked us. They've assaulted us multiple times, supplied Shiite militias in Iraq that have killed hundreds of American soldiers, and financially supported Hezbollah, Hamas, and the Houthis, all avowed adversaries of the West. They despise us here as intensely as Joy Reid, if not more. They've even attempted to assassinate American officials on U.S. soil and are now enriching uranium against every international agreement they've ever signed. Yet Joy thinks the outrage lies in us targeting their nuclear site. No surprise you're irrelevant, Joy. That's not an outrage, it's a triumph for global safety. Predictably, she rehashes old anti-American revisionist history with a pretense of profundity. Oh, in 1953 we overthrew Mossadegh. Sure, that happened 70 years ago, but Iran didn't turn into a terrorist regime because we upset them in the 1950s. They're a terrorist state because they're governed by religious extremists believing it's their godly duty to annihilate the West. This isn't about oil, it's about ideology, and choosing to ignore that is dangerously naive. Joy argues it's arrogant for the US to dictate who can possess nuclear weapons, but as I've noticed increasingly in these discussions, that's leadership, Joy. Do you really think the world would be safer if we let countries like Iran develop nuclear arms? You want to live in a world where those who hang gay men from cranes and burn American flags at Parliament possess nukes? If that's your preference, fine, but don't pretend there's any moral superiority in allowing tyrants to peacefully build bombs. That's not humility or benevolence, it's what your party masquerades as compassion, when really it's cowardice. Back to it.
This is not a story about one bomb. Iran's capabilities have been massively degraded over the last year and a half. Israel has done a remarkable job of destroying multiple armies, full armies. Israel has absorbed 28,000 rocket attacks, and this little David has defeated this massive Goliath, and that opened this opportunity for the United States. And yes, there is a sordid history, but the United States, since 1945, has basically guaranteed and overseen the greatest period of peace and prosperity in the world relative to all other points in human history. And the United States is
the Goliath is the United States. The United States did not start.
Versus Iran.
Did not.
Are you
No, hold on.
the murders of Tehran.
First of all, one moment. Two nuclear powers, the United States and Israel, bombed a non-nuclear power, which under the Obama administration signed a deal to decrease their enrichment of uranium. They signed that deal under President Obama. Donald Trump came along, abrogated, and ended that agreement such that they could begin enriching again. And Joe Biden came along, did not put that agreement back in place. Iran has been outside of that agreement since President Trump's first term. Did they in that time build a nuclear weapon? They did not. The 16 intelligence agencies which assess this for a living, it is their only job, have already concluded that they were not attempting to use. But no. One other question. Brad, hold on one second.
Capabilities by Israel.
It is a miracle.
Against
nuclear powers bombing a non-nuclear power. And you know how I know?
It's a strategic triumph by the United States is so much better off than
this
we
sounds
were.
like the Iraq War. You sound like, oh my God, 2003 wants its history.
I want to go back to
right now. We have
back to the
this
neocon argument.
Brad has been wanting to get in. Brad, go ahead.
Joy asked a question earlier. She said you allege that the United States has not been attacked by Iran. Iran backed militias that attacked United States forces 170 times in Syria, in Jordan, and in Iraq. You know who said that? Joe Biden said that. That's why he authorized F-15 strikes against Iran.
But by the way, Joe Biden is the same president who has allowed Israel in an unrestrained manner to slaughter Palestinians in Gaza. So I'm not sure that Joe Biden is who I'm looking at. I'm not sure Joe Biden is who I'm going to for the moral authority here. The moral authority here. And the bottom line here is the way that we know that Iran did not have nuclear weapons is that if they had nuclear weapons, Israel would not attack them. The reason they're trying to get nukes, and probably Saudi Arabia is trying to get them, is because an expansionist power in their region keeps threatening them and actually bomb them. And the bottom line, I don't think it's okay that Israel has nukes either. And so the bottom line is Israel does not even subject its nuclear weapons to the IAEA. And so my question is, should anyone in the region
But Joy,
have nukes?
this is not just about
nukes.
It's also about Iran being a state sponsor of terrorism and chaos and violence and death around the world. So I mean, there's that too.
It's huge. And no democracy. How about democracy? Why are we doing this? Because Israel has a democracy like the United States of America. Joy, the fact that you're backing a country
their democracy is not like the United States of America.
That slaughters people for their religious beliefs.
In the United States,
it's crazy that you're
people who are LGBTQ people can't even serve in the military under the president you prefer.
Okay, but they can live,
they are.
get married.
Oh, I'm sorry. They're only a little bit. They're only a little bit discriminated against. They're allowed to live, but they're not allowed to serve in the United States military. They're being persecuted. They can't have their stories told in school. The United States is not exactly a beacon of human rights for gay people.
One thing that absolutely drives me crazy about people like Joy Reid and those on the left is their relentless tendency to co-opt entire communities to support their faltering viewpoints. Joy Reid recently delivered a prime example of this during her wild tirade where she attempted to paint the United States as more repressive than Iran. Yes, Iran. She trots out 2 points to demonstrate how marginalized LGBTQ people supposedly are in America. Her strongest evidence? First, they allegedly can't serve in the military, and second, they're persecuted in the US. I'm going to set aside the second point because, frankly, what does that even mean? You need to clarify that for me, Joy. From what I understand, gay men can serve in the military, lesbians can serve, and bisexuals can serve too. There's no prohibition on LGBTQ individuals serving. This is just typical left-wing trickery, hoping you're too distracted or too fearful to call out the falsehood. What Joy is really referring to, as we all know, is Trump's transgender military policy. Instead of addressing that directly, she attempts to muddy the waters, pretending the entire LGBTQ community is banned from military service. It's just disingenuous. Everything I've pointed out shows it's manipulative and, frankly, insulting to anyone with a bit of intelligence watching. Honestly, I'm relieved I don't have to cover her as frequently anymore. Another concept that irritates me is this notion that declaring a particular identity automatically aligns you with the political left. If you're gay, bi, or part of the LGBTQ spectrum, it's assumed you'll just passively agree, while Joy Reid uses your identity for her arguments. So for this point, I'm speaking directly to my gay viewers, irrespective of your political stance. Don't you ever want to tell them, hey, quit speaking for me, this isn't my battle, stop pulling me into your talking points? And I know you don't need me or anyone else fighting your battles. But there's a reason this bothers me so much. Isn't it demeaning to be patronized and exploited in this way? It's glaringly obvious that this is all they're doing. They're packaging emotional manipulation as moral superiority, yet another tactic straight from the Democrat handbook. So please, if you have thoughts on this, let me know in the comments. If it doesn't bother you that much, I suppose I can let it go, but oh, how it irks me. It's a bit of a double-edged sword because she's tiresome, but it amuses me because such takes are why people have tuned her out, why she no longer has a show, why you barely see her anywhere. I think she might have a podcast or something, but have you ever heard about it? Anyone discuss it? Any significant interviews come from it? Because now the audience chooses who delivers the news to them, and she's no longer propped up by a large-scale operation. No one is showering her with support anymore. Joy, you had a good run. Your act lasted much longer than probably anyone anticipated, but folks are weary of being told they're oppressed when they know they're not. They're tired of being used as pawns in a narrative that doesn't reflect them. And I can say with some confidence that we're fed up with elites like you misusing their identity as protection from critique. I realize not everyone is falling for it, but I hope more people are seeing through the nonsense too. Anyway, that's all I have for this video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. It truly means a lot to me. If you like and subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. Remember, Jesus loves you. See you guys.